What's up guys, it's Cubophile here and welcome back to another video. And what did you notice about that solve? Maybe you noticed the fast transition from the cross to F2L, maybe the transition from F2L to OLL, or even just the fast turning in general. But in today's video, we're going to be focusing on PLL, specifically two-sided PLL recognition. So when you finish OLL, you can go directly into PLL without any pauses. For instance, in the example solve, you'll notice that right after I finish OLL, I immediately recognize patterns within the two sides that I see of the last layer, and that helped me determine that the PLL must be a vperm. So without any pauses, I immediately executed the algorithm, and just like that, the cube is solved. The strategy is incredibly important to learn because it can mean the difference between getting a sub 10 solve or not. The pause between OLL and PLL can cost you around half a second, which might not seem like much, but in terms of cubing, that's quite a big difference. Alright, now that you know what two-side PLL recognition is and why it's important, let's get on to the tutorial. One key piece of information you'll need to know is how colors work on the cube and how I'll be referring to them. So I'll be referring to orange and red, and blue and green, those two pairs of colors, as opposite colors, and that's pretty self-explanatory because they're on opposite sides of the cube. Similarly, if you ever hear me referencing adjacent colors, that means I'm talking about four possible cases, and those are red and green, or green and orange, or orange and blue, or blue and red. So for instance, if I say, if you observe adjacent colors in this slot right here, I'm talking about any of those four possible cases. Additionally, we will also need to define some key terms, such as bookends, which refer to the outermost pieces that you can see from these two sides. For instance, in this case, the bookends are the same color because this far left piece and this far right piece are both red. Secondly, a case where you have one color surrounded by two different colors is called headlights. So you see here that green is surrounded by two oranges, and that makes this a case of headlights. And lastly, we have here what is called a checkerboard pattern, and that is a sequence of alternating colors, and specifically alternating pattern of two colors. So here we have blue, orange, blue, orange. That is what's called a checkerboard pattern. One pattern that you could see upon completing OLL is the full bar case, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's when three pieces of the same color come together to form one bar, as shown here with red. There are technically five PLLs that have this pattern, so we'll be going over those now, and the first one is right here. So no matter if you see the bar on the left or the right hand side, if you notice that on the adjacent side there are three completely different colors as shown here and here, then you have an F perm. Next up we have the two J perm cases. So for a JA perm, if you see a full bar and a two bar connected to the full bar, then it's a JA perm. However, if you see that the two bar is not directly connected to the full bar, then it's a JB perm. And lastly, we have the two U perms. If the colors adjacent to the full bar are adjacent colors, then it's a UA perm. However, if the colors adjacent to the full bar are opposite colors, then it's a UB perm. If you see a lone 2 bar on the far left here, and if you have different bookends, then you have a V perm. If you have a 2 bar on the far left, and the bookends are the same, but also these two colors are the same, the ones I'm pointing to, this makes it an RA perm. This case looks the same as last time, except this time, these two colors are the same, and they are the opposite color of the bookends. So this is what differentiates the RA perm from this, and this is a GD perm. This case has exactly the same characteristics as the RA perm, except this time, the 2 bar is on the far right side instead of the far left side. And this is what makes this the RB perm instead of the RA perm. Similarly, this is the same case as the GD perm, instead this time, the 2 bar is again on the right instead of the left. So again, this is what makes this a GB perm instead of a GD perm. When you have the two bookends that are the same, a 2 bar on the far left, when this piece is the opposite color as the bookends, and when these two colors are opposite, the ones I'm pointing to, this is an AB perm. And now, because the two bars is on the left instead of the right, this makes this an AA perm instead of an AB perm. And finally, this is the last case. It doesn't matter if the two bars on the left or on the right, as long as you have the same bookends and these two pieces are the same, or these two pieces are the same, you'll have a T perm. If you have an inner two bar, it doesn't matter if it's the inner left or the inner right, as long as the bookends are different, it will be a Y perm. Both these cases have bookends, and the colors of the inner bars are adjacent to the colors of the bookends. But what makes this case different from this case is fairly obvious. In this case, the inner bar is on the inner left, and here, the bar is on the inner right. And so this is what makes the GA perm different from the GC perm. These two cases, again, both have bookends, but this time, the colors of the bars are opposite colors to those of the bookends. However, just like the GA and the GC perm, what differentiates these two PLL algorithms is that this bar is on the left and this bar is on the right. So if the bar is on the left, it's a GD perm. And if it's the bars on the right, it's a GD perm. In the case where you have two outer bars of adjacent colors and where each side has two opposite colors, you have a Y perm. When you have this pattern with two connected bars plus adjacent bookends, here you will have a V perm. On the other hand, if you have two connected bars but bookends that are the same, you will have an A perm. And when you have an A perm, the headlights will always be opposite the side with opposite colors. So what I mean by that is, if you have it in this orientation, then this side, since it has a blue and green, the headlights will be on this side, which is the opposite side of this side, and we are right. However, you see in this case where we have two connected bars, bookends that are the same, but here, this side has the two opposite colors, orange and red, so the headlights will be here, and they are. If you have a case where you have two bars on the right side of their respective sides, like this or like this, then you have a JB perm. And you can tell where the full bar is by, just like the A perm, it'll always be opposite the side with two opposite colors. So here, blue and green are the opposite colors, so the full bar will be here, and it is. And the same thing applies for JA perms. If you see who have two bars that are each on the left side of their respective sides, like this or like this, then you have a JA perm. So once again, we have blue and green. The full bar should still be on the opposite side of this side, which it is. Lastly, you have the N perms, which are really easy to recognize. You'll have this pattern here of opposite colors on either side, plus a 2 bar on each side. But if the 2 bar is on the right, then it's an NA perm. And if the bar is on the left, it's an NB perm. If you have a set of headlights where the color of the middle piece is adjacent to the color of the outer pieces, you have a checkerboard pattern of 4, in this case blue, red, and there is no 2 bar here, then you have a GC perm. And if you have the reverse of that, then that means you have a GA perm. Both these cases have a pair of headlights where both the colors are opposite colors, and on the adjacent side there's no pattern at all. So the way to differentiate between these two cases is that if these two colors, the ones I'm pointing to, if these two are the same, then it's a GD perm. And if these two colors are different, then it's a GB perm. However, now that you have the headlights on the right side instead of the left, if these two pieces are the same, it is now a GB perm instead of a GD perm. And again, since the headlights are on the right instead of the left, since these two pieces are not the same, it is a GD perm. If you have an adjacent pair of headlights on the right and a 5-sticker checkerboard pattern here, then this is an RA perm. And if you have an adjacent pair of headlights on the left and a 5-sticker checker pattern, this is an RB perm. Lastly, if you have a pair of adjacent headlights and these two colors are adjacent, this is an AA perm. And if you have the same thing but on the left side, it's an AB perm. For this first case, it doesn't matter if the headlights are on the left or on the right, as long as you have headlights connected to a bar and the colors of the headlights are opposite colors, you'll have a T perm. However, if you see headlights connected to a bar, but the colors of the headlights are adjacent colors, and the headlights are on the left, you'll have an RA perm. But if you have the same thing with headlights on the right, then it's an RB perm. If you have this case where you have a pair of adjacent headlights and a 2-bar that's disconnected from the headlight, but you also have a 4-piece checkerboard pattern, in this case green, orange, this is an AA perm. And if you have the same thing with the headlights on the right, it's an AB perm. This looks similar to the AA perm, except this time there's no 4-sticker checkerboard pattern here, and so that makes this a GA perm. And this looks like an AB perm, but again, there is no 4-sticker checker pattern, so this is a GC perm. If you come across a case where you have two adjacent pairs of headlights and each side has opposite colors, you have an H perm. If you have a case where you have adjacent headlights and each side has adjacent colors, either like this or like this, you have a Z perm. If you have a case where you see that this piece needs to go here, or if this piece has to go here, then you have a UA perm. However, if you have a case where this piece has to go here, or this piece has to go here, you have a UB perm. So yeah, basically all the double headlights cases are stupidly easy. If you have bookends like this or like this, and you have a 4-piece checkerboard pattern in the middle, like here blue, orange, and here orange, green, then you have an F perm. But how you tell where the 4-bar is that the full bar will always be attached to the two opposite colors. So if you have it in this orientation, you know it's an F perm, but since green and blue, two opposite colors are over here, the bar is going to be attached on this side, and it is. And so similarly, if you have it on this side, you have the F perm case, but blue and green is over here, the opposite colors, so the red bar is going to be over here, which it is. Both these cases have bookends, but in this case, these two pieces are the same and these two are adjacent colors. Meanwhile, in this one, the two colors that are the same are on the right as opposed to, as you see here, on the left, and the adjacent colors are on the left here. And so, if the same colors as shown here are on the left, then it's an RA perm. And if the colors that are the same are on the right, then it's an RB perm. For these two cases, you see we have bookends. However, what distinguishes these two cases from the R perms are that in the R perms, these two pieces here are opposite colors, meanwhile in these two cases, they will be opposite colors. Other than that, you can use the same logic as the R perms to tell which case is which. So, if the pieces that are the same are on the right, it's a GA perm. And if it's the pieces on the left that are the same, then it's a GC perm. If you have a case where the bookends are different, but you have kind of this split up checkerboard pattern, like red, green, split up by one piece in the middle, this is a Y perm. However, if you have an opposite case with two bookends, but the two remaining adjacent colors make up a checkerboard pattern in the middle, here green, red, this is a V perm. And finally, the EEPROM doesn't have bookends, but it also doesn't have any checkerboard patterns. So basically, if you have this case, if you have no idea what case it is, it's almost always the EEPROM. And that's going to be it, guys. You officially know everything you need to know about two-sided PLL recognition. It might seem really overwhelming, but most of it is really intuitive. Like, for example, the full bar, double headlights, all those cases, those were really simple, and so those you don't really need to learn. But even the rest, as long as you keep implementing them into your practicing, they should become second nature to you. Of course, if I missed anything in this video, feel free to leave any questions in the comments down below and I'll be more than happy to answer them. And if you enjoyed this video and got something out of it, make sure to like and subscribe. We're trying to hit 100 subscribers by the end of the year, so it'll really mean a lot to me if you could just hit that subscribe button. And as always, until the next video, peace.